Hello, my friend. A few weeks ago, a good old friend of mine turned up at a gig and donated this to me. He got it in a job lot of musical gear and leads and stuff and just had no need for it. I mean, it's got to be one of the most ridiculous looking microphones I think I've ever seen. It's like super faux glitzy glam, yet it doesn't take much to see that it's actually very, very cheap. Once I got it back to the studio, I looked it up. It's about 50 quid and came in like a cheap pack with a pop shield and a lead and all that kind of stuff. So very, very inexpensive microphone. Now, I haven't actually plugged this up yet, so I have no idea if it even works. But if it does, what I thought would be fun is to see if I can make a decent sounding recording with a mic, a little bit of know-how and some decent plugins. How important is it to have a great mic in your studio, or can you get away with this? Let's dive straight in. Okay, so I've got the Cronova mic now set up. Took a while to find a shock mount that I could squeeze it in, but so far so good. I've rigged it up to my preamp, and although the microphone itself sounds a little bit hissy, it is working. So I've got my guitar here. Now, this Sigma guitar I've used quite a lot for recording over the last year or two, and it's become a real tried and tested recording guitar. In fact, I don't think it's ever sounded bad, so let's hope this isn't the first day. So I'm all ready to start tracking this guitar. Let's get started. Okay, so that's guitar done. Definitely sounded a bit harsh, and there's definitely some hiss going on with this microphone. Let's crack on, record some vocals.
You taste like my home, and you'd make the best friend, but he's already in love with you. What do I do? Stole the stars I hung around you, or watched them fall around 1,000 flames.
Okay, so that's acoustic guitar and vocals successfully recorded. So now I guess it's time to hop into the DAW and see what we can do with it.
Okay, so here's what we've ended up with.
You taste like my home, and you'd make the best friend.
Just that guitar. I think the microphone has succeeded in finally making that guitar sound pretty nasty. It definitely doesn't sound even like a dreadnought. It sounds really thin and scratchy, not very nice at all. The vocal, I think, has fared a bit better.
You run far too fast, and you dance like no one's looking.
Now, I suppose, being fair a little bit to the mic, I didn't really spend any time with the mic around the guitar. Kind of just put it in the typical about a foot away where the neck meets the body kind of position. But that said, I'm not convinced that I still would have got a result I was particularly pleased with. Now, moving on to the mixing, which in all honesty was really fixing or attempting to fix, and not really hardly any mixing at all, and that can become really frustrating really quickly. And here's the thing with these super cheap mics, which you can find on sites like Amazon, that they're aimed at people starting out, but actually it's such a false economy, because once you start recording with these mics and you get over that, oh great, I'm getting a sound out of them, and that sounds pretty cool. Once you actually start trying to get a decent sound out of them and working a little bit with the mix, everything falls apart very quickly, and you start to realize that you're a million miles off. So let me show you what I came up with.
You taste like my home, and you'd make the best friend, but he's already in love with you. What do I do?
So once again, really it was a fixing rather than mixing job. So just starting out with the guitar here. Now typically with that Dreadnought I don't usually do too much. It records very nicely. I've already said that in this video. I like a bit of LA2 on it just to thicken out if I'm picking, and really complementary EQ. Whereas what I was doing from the start here was thinking, what am I going to do with this guitar sound? I thought maybe I can get away with it sounding grungy, add some saturation, make it a bit more lo-fi, make a thing out of the recording not sounding that great. But actually everything I threw at it, if I started putting saturation on, for example, it just started sounding more and more harsh. I used Waves Curves Equator, which is kind of like their Soothe equivalent plugin, to attempt to sort of AI tame some of that harshness. By the time I'm coming in with an EQ, you can see it's all about cutting. I made a couple of cuts here in an attempt to deal with the harshness. A cut here at around 500 to deal with some of the boominess too. Also brought in a high and low pass filter. I didn't do too much at all with the channel strip other than bring in a bit of 100 Hertz to round out the low end and just fill it out a little bit. Because again, this Dreadnought ended up sounding like a little tiny sort of crispy parlour guitar to me. And I brought in a little bit of saturation. This is such a musical saturation that I really like on this channel strip. Just to rough it up a bit, I tried, as I've already said, a few different saturations. I tried some tape, and really everything I kind of tried, and it just seemed to bring that harshness back out again. And then finally a little bit of LA2A just to fill it out a little bit. And here's AB in the before and after. Just really ironing out some of that harshness and filling out a little bit. And with the vocal it's much the same story. I'm using Isotope RX8 voice denoise to get rid of some of that hiss, which is only going to get worse as I bring in some compression, and that tends to dampen down the top end a little bit as well. So that's not an ideal start, especially when you've taken such great care to record that you're already recording with a load of hiss already. Is kind of frustrating. Then, as you can see, it's a whole bunch of cuts, just trying to deal with the unpleasant frequencies. And what I found was with the vocal, when I made one cut, it just felt like another one popped up. It just felt like balancing this vocal was a really impossible task. And typical moves that I would do and I'm used to with other microphones just didn't really seem to come off. If I brought through any clarity, then I was just getting tons of harshness with it. So any complementary EQing was super gentle. I did a little bit of compression, just stacked an 1176 to catch some of those peaks, and then LA2A again just to smooth and fatten around things out. I did record down with the pre with a little bit of compression as well, so I was pretty gentle on the compression. Just AB the 2.
You taste like my home, and you'd make the best friend, but he's already in love with you. What do I do?
And finally on the mix bus, I'm just running through a Neve 73 plugin from Kit just for a bit of mix bus vibe. I've got tape on here from Softtube, and I'm also using Kit plugins chambers as well, just to glue together the guitar and the vocal with a little bit of room reverb.
Just interrupting the video for a moment to let you know about a free mixing course called Pro Mix Method. It's going to teach you how to create a solid foundation for your mix, and you'll find the link for the free course just below this video.
And to finish things off with the vocal, I just added a little bit of parallel compression. Let's just AB the 2. So here's with all the mixing or fixing, whatever you want to call it. Here's with it off.
You taste like my home, and you'd make the best friend, but he's already in love with you. What do I do?
So this has got to be one of the worst mics I think I've used. What's yours? Have you used a worse mic? Let me know your stories in the comments box below. I'd love to hear from you. I I think the danger with microphones like these are they look kind of a bit glitzy maybe to the beginner and the newcomer. They often come in packs where you get everything all together. And, you know, setting this up, you might think, yeah, this is really cool. But actually, when you actually come to work with it, the results you're going to get are frustrating. Because if you're watching tutorials and learning the ropes and getting better in the studio, you're going to find a microphone, or the recordings that a microphone like this gives you and offers you are just not going to be up to scratch. And once again, like in the example today, all you're going to find is yourself frustratingly trying to fix problems all the time rather than actually learning the ropes of mixing music. Now, if you've got this far and you're thinking, well, what should I get instead? Then certainly if you've got a tight budget, and I'm saying sub £100, there's still some really good solid options. AT2020 from Audio-Technica. I've got a couple of the CAD GXL mics, the 2200 and the 2400, which are both great entry-level large diaphragm condensers. If you've got a crazy tight budget of like 15 or 20 pounds, I would definitely recommend the Behringer Dynamic SM58 copy. I've got one of those, and actually I've had some alright vocal recordings with that. Certainly way better than the vocal recording I got from this microphone.
Where brighter thoughts take you to a lighter place.
And indeed, the budget-priced Behringer condenser microphones certainly will outperform one like this. What I would say is to avoid any of those glitzy, hyper cheap, too good to be true Amazon microphones like this one, because they're going to drive you mad. As for this microphone, I haven't quite decided what to do with it yet. If you've got a good idea, let me know in the comments box below. If you watch Spectre Sounds and you're a fan of Glenn Fricker, then I suspect he probably would have lobbed it or burnt it or thrown it out of a window by now. Let me know what you think I should do with this microphone in the comments box below. I hope you found this video helpful today. If you did, please do like and subscribe up to the channel. If you enjoyed this video today, you definitely want to check this next one out.